Hey everyone, it's Kristen. So today we're going to be talking about Doctor Strange 75, and this is February of 1986. And this is known to a lot of people as Wong's, the issue where Wong reveals his secret, which I already told you about it in when we were talking about the Doctor Strange 70 video, because I was introducing Sara and explaining her and her relationship to Wong, or with Wong. So I kind of already told you what happened with him, so I won't go into super long detail. I also picked this one because this relates to two Fantastic Four issues that we're going to talk about, which I always found interesting. And they also relate, one of them also relates to the Cold War, which was what Doctor Strange 70 talked about. So anyway, okay, so we find Doctor Strange in Marvel's version of Hades or Hell, and there's Mephisto, which basically Marvel's version kind of the devil. And then we see Richards and Sue Storm of the Fantastic Four. And Mephisto knows who Doctor Strange is because he says Doctor Strange, and well, we fought many times, so I would hope you would remember me. And we also see this crystal over here, and Mephisto, pronunciation, not positive I'm saying that right, but I think so, but if you'll just bear with me, because yeah, I could be saying it wrong. So we see this this crystal here, and in this crystal is a, and apparently Mephisto is afraid of what's in this crystal, and it is actually Franklin Richards, Reed and Sue's son, and Strange breaks the crystal, he's freed, and Mephisto thinks, okay, well, he's weak, I can take care of him right now. He wakes up, basically destroys him, but really can't destroy the devil, so he disperses him. Like, boom, like, he's gone. And, okay, you have to remember that Franklin is, like, 4 or 5. And okay, brief history on him. He is a, part of the reason why he has powers is the radiation from his mom and dad that gave him powers. Of course, that changed their cells, or, an so they have that kind of radiation in them, and then of course they had Franklin. So at one point it was rumored that he was a mutant, but what can come to find out is he really wasn't a mutant, but his powers, which are altering, and he has psionic powers like telepathy, telekinesis, basically powers in the mind. His powers actually change his to mimic, or to, give him an X gene, so it looked like he was mutant, because that's what he was. So, but the interesting thing about him is he's like considered one of the most powerful beings, of the universe, because he can alter reality, and he has done it. He's done it multiple times, even though he's not supposed to. But he's 4 or 5. I mean, what does he know? And he goes cycles where he like uses up or depletes all, like gains it back. But he's so powerful. And if you remember, like the Onslaught story, Onslaught kidnapped him in order to use him for his powers, his reality altering powers. And when all the heroes were supposedly killed and they did Heroes Reborn, he actually sent all the heroes to a... So he has crazy powers. And people are always after him because of his powers. And he actually has like blocks in his mind so that he can't actually use his powers fully. But this is just like the astral projection version of like their astral selves. So here he can use his powers fully. He's not restricted at all. So he dies. The hell, underworld, whatever you want to call it, because they used a couple different terms for it. It's kind of shaken up because now the leader of it is dead. So Doctor Strange is like, we've got to get out of here because who knows what's going to happen now. People, like, demons are going to start, coming out of the woodwork. The very fabric of this realm itself is like being torn apart. And you see like a creature escaping from its prison. And here we come back on Sara and Doctor Strange. And, Doctor Strange is like, Sara, what's wrong? He can tell something's wrong because, as he reminds her, they were friends before she started to work for him. And she said, and he said, it's about Wong, isn't it? Because he knows that they have this connection, but he also knows that, nothing's really happening, but it's there. And Sara says, yes, it is. And she says she doesn't understand because he's become so distant lately. When she first started working for Doctor Strange, she talked about how Wong and, she and Wong were always at odds and stuff. But after Clea left you, that was back in Doctor Strange 55, then they grew closer because they were both really concerned about Doctor Strange because he was very, very upset, very depressed. So they grew closer at that point, and she found herself really enjoying like Wong's company, and she really liked him. And then one day though, these group of monks show up at the doorstep, and after that, Wong just he kind of changed. He, pushed her away. She would say, hey, let's go to the movies. She didn't even say like a date or anything. And he's like, I can't do that. Some of us, have duties in this life. And she kind of was like, wow. And he hasn't been talking to her, and she doesn't understand what she did, if she did anything wrong, because she doesn't think she did anything wrong. But she's upset. And then Wong finally confesses, he says, I've really grown really fond of you since I've come to work for, Doctor Strange, for the Master. And Sara says, the feeling's mutual. I really like you. And Wong says, but it can't go any further because I'm promised to another. And like I said, we talked about this in Doctor Strange 70 when I was introducing Sara and, her relationship in the comic books and her relationship to Wong. And this, I forgot about this because I said, promise to another. The thing is that for like the firstborn would go serve, the mystical master, and for the past thousands of years it had been the Ancient One. And one day when he became old enough, the Ancient One had said, I want you to go work for my disciple Doctor Strange. And this happened, like, he was sent off to the monastery to train to learn how to serve his master at the age of 4. His family could visit and everything, but he was there from the age of 4 on, which, that's got to be hard. But I guess if that's your family's legacy and that's all you know, and there's a sense of, I would assume a sense of duty about it, that you're, kind of like if your family has a business and you're expected to take over the family business one day. That's basically kind of what he's doing. And then when he was 10, his father came to him and said, hey, I arranged with this other couple for you to marry their daughter. And because that's what they did, arranged marriages. I mean, in the world, there's been a history of arranged marriages in different cultures. I don't know about that, but on the other hand, though, I mean, it's an arrangement. You arrange to be married for different beneficial reasons, which I get, and sometimes those marriages last longer than marriages that are like, you see someone and there's like instant chemistry, you fall in love. I mean, I've never experienced that myself, but of course, all the movies say that, which. I know that love can take time for some people. Anyway, we're getting too much off track. That's me. I'm getting off track. Anyway, so he's promised another at 10, and he's like, okay. And then when he went to work for Doctor Strange, when he became old enough, it was, and this is the most interesting part to me, because of course he's a man, but at that point, it doesn't say what age. Some people are like 13, 14. They're considered, an adult in some cultures. Sometimes it's 15, 16, 18. It doesn't say, but it says, that he received a letter saying that the couple that his dad had picked for him to their daughter to be married to him, the couple finally gave birth to a daughter. So he is 13, 14, 15, who knows how old, and the couple finally gives birth to a daughter. So he is going to be, of course, significantly older than his wife. And so Sarah's like, wait, so you were engaged to a woman that hadn't even been born yet? And Wong's like, that's just, my family's custom. That's what we do. And Sarah's like, this is crazy. You should talk him out of it. And Dr. Shane says, well, this is Wong's decision. We have to respect what he's chosen. And Sarah just runs out because she's like, I can't deal with this. And it's interesting to me because I had forgotten about that one fact, that when he got engaged at 10, the daughter hadn't even been born yet. And then when he turned into a man, what they considered a man grown up, which, it doesn't specify in here. It could have been 13, 14, 15. The family had just given birth to a daughter. So they have to wait, 13, 14, 15, however many years later before she can actually be married to Wong. He says when she comes of age, we'll be married. So, because, I mean, you hear about child brides, so she could have been 12, 13, 14, but still, that's like a 13-year age difference. When supposedly if she's, 12, 13, 25, 26, and that's just weird and gross. So I forgot that part, which is, I think, the most interesting thing that comes out of this comic. So, okay. We are in front of this house in Connecticut. These little boys are playing. It's like a rubble. There's nothing there anymore. And, they're playing marbles. And you'll understand why I'm bringing this up in a minute. And the little boy's like, well, I better go because my mom doesn't want me playing in front of the Richards house. And the other little boy's like, what? I thought the people that lived here were the Benjamins. And the little boy's like, no, it's Reed Richards and Sue Storm from the Fantastic Four. This was their house. That got destroyed when they were pulled into hell. So I just wanted to point that out because the creature that escaped, it found a weak point between the dimension, and it escaped. And Doctor Strange senses this, and so he goes after it. And of course, everyone that sees this creature, this thing, because they don't know what it is, freaks out, runs away. I mean, I would too. And the creature senses Doctor Strange is following it, even though Doctor Strange is cloaked. So he finds that interesting, that, you know, this creature can see him. So he uses his power, you know, to try to subdue it. And he sees this image of this young woman above this creature saying, you know, help me, please. Or she says, save me. And at that point, this lady with a shotgun shoots her in the back. And of course, the creature, you know, retaliates. And then the creature, well, she now, you know, runs away. And this guy sprays the creature with the hose, water, which, you know, water, fire, opposites. I'm assuming that's why. And it's momentarily stunned. So Doctor Strange realizes water. Oh my gosh, okay. So he basically dunks the creature or the girl in a pool. And she comes out, and she's a girl. And Doctor Strange is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she's alive. And so back at his house, you see this girl, and Doctor Strange is like, how are you? Are you okay? And she's like, I'm missing part of myself. Like, part of my soul is missing. And Doctor Strange is kind of amazed. And he's like, you can sense that. And she says, I've had certain powers, certain perceptions all my life. And she says her name's Topaz, and that's all she remembers. So what I found interesting is that, okay, they had a character named Topaz in Thor Ragnarok. I do not. I mean, some people have said, yeah, that's this character. I don't think so. I mean, I think even if they did use the name Topaz for, you know, because they found this character and remembered her, I don't think that's who, you know, the character Topaz is in Thor Ragnarok. For one, because, okay, so when she was young, she's always had like supernatural kind of powers, like and powers to, you know, control people's emotions, kind of get them to do kind of what she says. And she was noticed by a sorcerer, Taboo, who basically adopted her, used her for her powers. And when she has two forms. So because Taboo wanted her to basically control werewolf by anything, and she was responsible. And she's also had dealings with Dormammu, because she can and enrich other wizards, sorcerers, witches' power. So she's been used in that way. And at some point, she helped defeat Dormammu. And then she also is like, hey, guess what? It's me again. And then she joined up with these two other witches, Jennifer Kale, who has like a psychic link to the man thing, and Santana, who is like a demonic daughter of like Satan or something like that, or I don't know, like a high-ranking demon. I can't really. There's like 3 different versions of her, so I'm not sure exactly which version they're talking about. Sometimes, so, and she's died a couple times and come back. So, you know, like I said, nobody really stays dead in comic books. Kind of like soap operas, nobody really stays dead, or it's like they died, but it was their evil twin, or it was a clone, or whatever. That's kind of like comic books too. I've made that reference before. But so she joined up with the other 2 witches to help protect the tome of, I can't pronounce this witch's name. She's a sorceress. She put all of her knowledge and all of her spells into it. It's a very powerful thing. And there's actually a demon guarding it. And so if you open the book, you release the demon. So they guard it so that no one releases the demon. So I just thought it was, you know, an interest. I mean, Marvel hasn't really, well, I mean, with Scarlet Witch, they've kind of gone in that direction of like the supernatural, which I hope they kind of continue to do, because there's so many cool characters that they can pull from. There's so many different witches and sorcerers, warlocks, monsters that they can use. So I think eventually, I think they will in the MCU go more of that direction. But I just thought it was interesting. And like I said, this Doctor Strange issue relates to the Fantastic Four issue we're going to talk about next. So I hope you join me for that as well. So like I said, I hope you watch the next video, and I hope you will join me for future videos. And I really like sharing this with you guys. I don't really have anyone else to talk about this stuff with, so it's fun to talk to you guys and, you know, like pretend you're right in front of me and you're listening to me ramble on about stuff I love. So until next time, bye.